In this presentation, we'll record transactions related to expenses within QuickBooks Pro, QuickBooks Desktop. Here we are in our QuickBooks file. We got the open windows open. To open the open windows, you go to the view dropdown and select the open windows list. Let's go to Excel and take a look at our objectives. We're going to go back over to Excel. We're going to be recording transactions starting with transaction number 5, which is going to be instruction expense. So we're going to be picking up the instruction expense here. These are going to be the expenses that we will be recording. Now, as we do this, you'll note that the expense accounts that we are using are in essence by function. So we're going to be recording this is for the instruction expense. It doesn't say, wages expense or other type of expense accounts. It's basically saying what we're being used for. Now, you could use the class function in order to give more detail if you so choose, as we did with other not-for-profit organizations, so you could try to break out some more detail of the nature of the expense as well as the function of the expense. Here, we're going to be recording these two functions. So instruction expense, we'll have the academic support expense, the student service expense, and so on. That's what these things are going to be used for. We're going to be recording this basically as if they're going to be wages. We're not going to be going through the payroll process once again. Note that we do have a payroll course. It's going to be similar for not-for-profit or a school that has other types of institutions to basically set up the payroll within QuickBooks. Right now, we're just going to be recording these expense transactions, and we will be doing so basically in essence by function here. So first, we're going to start off with the instruction expense. The major instruction expense would be obviously the instructors on it, and we're going to say that the major expense would basically be the wages. I'm going to minimize these cells. We will have one more expense we'll record up top in this presentation, so I'm going to minimize these for now by selecting from K to O, letting go, right-clicking the selected area and hiding. Then we'll record this. We're going to start off with the instruction expense. That's, of course, going to be an expense account. Here we go. We are in cell R26, where we will say equals, pointing to that 86,460. The other side then decreasing cash. I'm going to go up top to the cash, where we are in R3. Within R3, we're going to say equals, point to the credit of the 86,460 and enter. There we have the cash going down. The other side then increasing the expense account, which of course will affect and decrease what would be in essence the net income number. So let's see what we would do in QuickBooks for that. Going to the QuickBooks file, we're just simply going to be writing a check here. Now note that there could be multiple things. We're recording all these things by function in one transaction. There might be multiple transactions that could then be affecting this one account that would be similar to this, as we write basically in essence multiple checks go into that particular expense account. So I'm going to go to the write checks. I'm going to say this is going to be employee. I'm going to make this as of the 22nd. I'll say it's an employee 1. Now, I'm not going to set them up as an employee. I'm going to set them up as a vendor here because we're not going to be going through the payroll process. I'm going to say OK. We're going to pick up the amount. The amount is going to be that 86,460. So it's going to be the 86460. And then on the expense side, we're going to put that to instruction expense. We can do that with the drop down or type in instruction expense, which we have used before. So there it is. And the class is going to be unrestricted. Unrestricted. So what's this going to do? Decrease the checking account, record the other side to the expense of 86,460. Let's say save and new and continue this process. Similar process for the next one. Going back to our accounts, I'm going to ungreen this, right-clicking on it, selecting it first, then right-clicking on the selected area, making it blue. Then I'm going to go down below it to the academic support, select it, right-click on it, and make it green. So there we have it. Now, we're similar process. We're going to record by function. We're paying for academic support expenses. I'm going to say it's wages again, but note we're recording it by function. It's not wages expense we're recording it to. We're recording it to academic support. You could put it under wages basically and then use the class function to break out the classes. So just keep that in mind, as we've seen in the prior not-for-profits. So we're going to be then going to the academic support. We're in R27 equals. We're going to then pick up that 23,550, increasing that expense. The other side going to cash. Going up top, there's something in cash. Therefore, I will double click on it. Go to the end of it, say plus. put the cursor back down, scroll back down to that 23,550 and enter. So there we have that. And if we scroll back down, there's our two expenses. Expenses increasing, decreasing the basically net income number. Going back to QuickBooks, we're going to enter another check. I'm going to make the check to employee 2 this time. Employee, I'm going to say 2. Tab, quick add, going to set them up as a vendor. The amount is going to be for the 23,550. So we're going to say 23,550. And then the expense is going to go to the academic support. I'm going to go ahead and copy that here. Copy that one. We're going to have to set that up because we don't have it yet. I'm going to type in academic support expense. You may not need the expense because it'll be an expense type of account. I'm going to keep it there for now. Say set up. And we want an expense. That's what it's guessing because it is a check we're writing. That's correct. We're going to say continue. Then we want it to be an expense type of account. Academic support looks good. Let's say save and close. And then the class is going to be unrestricted. This once again will decrease the checking account. Other side go into the expense account, academic support. Now we're going to say save and new. Yes, and let's do it again. Going to go back to Excel. Going to ungreen this one. Going to select the prior one we just did. Make it now blue. Then we're going to go to the one below it. We're going to right click and make it green. That's the one we'll be working on. Same kind of idea here. We're going to say student service expense. So we have student service expense once again by function that we're recording these expense items. And you can imagine multiple checks that would be going that could be making up the student service expense that would look in a similar fashion as this one. So we're going to debit the student service expense. So student service expense with the debit. So we'll debit the student service expense and the credit then going to cash. I'm going to scroll back up top. Here's our cash account, double clicking on it, going to the end of it, plus putting the cursor back down, scrolling down to cash. We're going to pick up the credit to cash. So similar type of transaction. We're then going to record that into QuickBooks. I'm going to go back to QuickBooks, same kind of concept. I'm going to call this employee 3. Add that, vendor, setting up the expense account. Let's copy it again. Back to Excel to pick up that expense account. It's going to be the student service expense is the one we want. There it is. I'm going to highlight it, copy it, go back to QuickBooks, paste it there, student service expense, tab. We already have it set up, I thought we were going to have to add it there. So we're going to say there it is. And then the amount that we need is going to be that 37,790. I can put that here or here. We're going to say 37,790. That'll populate it in both places. And then we need the class is going to be unrestricted. Unrestricted. So then I'm going to say save and new. Save and new. This will decrease the checking account. Other side go into the student service expense, increasing the expense, decreasing what would be similar to the net income. We're going to say yes, and there's that. Let's record one more back to Excel. I'm going to unhide the cells now. I'm going to go from I, left click on that whole column, and then drag over to P, let go, right click the selected area, unhide it. Then I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to ungreen this one, selecting the area that's green, right clicking on it, then going to make it blue again, make that blue again. Scrolling back up top, I'm now going to hide the cells we do not need. Left clicking on column F, dragging over to J, let go, right clicking on the selected area and hiding it. Now here's going to be the final one we will record, similar fashion, which will be the institutional support expense, once again by function, not really by the nature of the account, and then cash going down. So institutional support, scrolling back down, there it is. Institutional support in R29 equals, then scrolling back up, we want to pick up that 28,710, enter. There's that other side going to cash. There's the cash. We are in R3, double clicking in R3, going to the end of it plus, then pointing to that 28,710 and enter. There we have the cash going down, and we should be back in balance down below, indicated by the green 0. Scrolling back up, now let's go ahead and record this last one into QuickBooks. So we go back to QuickBooks, another check. We're going to call this employee number 4, tab, setting up as a vendor. The amount is going to be for the 28,710. I'm going to say 28710. And then we're going to record the expense. The expense is going to be this institutional support. I'm going to copy it so I don't mess up the spelling too badly. So institutional support, copying that, Roger. And then we'll put it into the account tab, set it up. It's going to be an expense type of account, continue. Expense type of account, that's the name we want, save and close. And then we'll go into the class and call it unrestricted, tab. That looks good. Let's go ahead and record this one. This time I'm going to say save and close. Save and close. Yes, there we have it. Then let's go ahead and check this out in our reports. Reports drop down. Let's first take a look at our trustee trial balance, which is going to be in the accounts and taxes trial balance. Changing the dates up top from 01/01/20 to 12/31/20, January through December. Changing the font size in customized reports, fonts and numbers. Change the font. 11 is what we want. Okay, yes, and okay. So there we have that. If we go then into the checking account, double clicking on it, we'll see our amounts we just recorded. There's the employee 1, 2, 3, and 4. The split item will tell us the other side that it's going to, the other account, which is instruction expense, academic support, student service, and institutional. Let's check those out. Closing this back out, scrolling down. Here's our expenses by function. So we have the academic support. That's what it's being used for. And there we have it. There's our amount. There's our check. Then we have the institutional support and so on, our 3 accounts. Let's check this in a profit and loss by class now. Reports drop down, company and financial. Now let's take a look at the profit and loss by class report. We'll change the dates by going to 01/01/20 to 12/31/20. There it is. Let's change the font size, customize report, fonts and numbers. We're going to then go to the font size, 11, okay, yes, and okay. So there we have it. Now we put it all into unrestricted. So all the expenses are in the unrestricted column: academic support, institutional support, instruction expense, and the student services. Now in the next presentation, we're going to say that one of these expenses qualified us to unrestricted item, moving it from a restricted to unrestricted. So we'll see that in the next presentation.